Okay, we're going to continue with the visual data tools, and this time we're going to do the bar chart. So we're going to go into our built-ins, into the geometry plugins, and on the left here we have a visual data tools folder. We're going to drag the bar chart up into our scene tree. First, to get this to work, we're just going to use the scene data that we're going to send within the scene. And to do that, we're going to use another container plugin here within our visual data tools folder, which is called data storage. We're going to drag this data storage up onto our same bar chart container, and we're going to click on the data storage. What we want to do first is change the shared memory here from inactive to scene. Then we're going to come down to our key data, and we can call this anything, but in our case, since we're going to work with the Y data or Y scaling of our bar chart, we're just going to call this data Y with a capital Y. Now we're going to come into the data field, and we're just going to type in some random values here. These values will represent the bars that we'll be sending the data to. So we have 6 numbers there. We're going to go back into our bar chart plugin, and now we're going to turn our shared memory from inactive to scene. We're going to change our key data from just data here to data Y to reflect what we put in the data storage plugin. And you can see when we do that it automatically starts to populate this bar chart. We also have our data delimiter down here. If we were to erase that, the multiple bars would no longer come up. It would just be one bar. So if you needed to change any of these variables here now, we could go back into our data storage. And if we just wanted to change our first number to a different number, we could do that here. So you can see how this works. Using the data set within our data storage, we can send it to our bar chart plugin. Now once you have your data going in there, you have a lot of different options within this plugin for other design options. For example, just a few of the things that you can do is set our data X scale. So for instance, if you wanted to scale these out more and or push them together a little bit more, you could use our data X scale. Let's slide this over. You also have a data X offset, so depending on how many numbers you have, you may need to use these to separate it out or push them together a little bit more. There's also a data fit down here, which is off by default, and this relates to the Y data that we're sending. So if we always wanted to scale and or fit within a certain parameter, we could set our data down there. Likewise, if we have an offset, or if we wanted to dip below a 0 line, we can use the data Y offset here, and you can see how it goes below the line there once we offset it down. There's a compare, so we could actually compare another set of charts here, and then by using the timer down here, you could have those two compare over time. Anytime you need to know what is going on with this plugin, or if you have questions, there's a little I button up here which you can click on, and then this will tell you exactly more about what each individual parameter does within the plugin. If we come a little bit farther down, into this plugin, what we want to do is just give it some color. So we'll see here, and we'll drag a material on it as well. We have within this plugin the ability to adjust the corners. So bars, as you can see, were rectangular. Now if we adjust the corners, we can make them a little bit more round. We have a bar width, again, that we can slide out, a bar gap, which will slide it out a little bit more. There's a tessellation length, which will smooth out the roundness of it. And of course down here we have a bevel that we can turn on and off as well. There's a bevel size, so we can increase or decrease the bevel size. There's also a bevel top and a bevel bottom setting for these bars. Bevel steps will just increase the tessellation again, so if we want to smooth out the corners here, we can increase the bevel steps. Finally, if we needed to actually keyframe this or animate this on in some fashion, we could use these start percentage and stop percentages here to animate this on. So as I move my mouse across here in the stop percentage, you can see how this will animate on accordingly depending on the Y values here. So you could just set the keyframes to have this animate on and off if you need to with the bar values. If you do need to rotate it and or reposition it, rescale it, you can come over into the transformation editor here and just use the tools in there to spin it around or rotate it to whichever effect you need. Next tutorial, we're going to show you how to use Excel data to actually auto-populate this bar chart.